This is the good guy, or Charles Lee Ray, and to his friends, Chucky. Chucky is a power that allows him to go undetectable as well as dash forward. However, that is not what I wanted to talk about today. There is a third part of his power that is often overlooked, but I would argue is his most powerful tool, and the key to mastering the killer. That would be his third-person camera. As of the making of this video, Chucky is the first and only killer with this power, and combined with his short size, can allow you to do some things other killers could only dream of. This guide will have timestamps if you wish to jump around to specific sections. And before we get started, I would like to give some background on me. I've been maining Chucky since his release and done other guides on him, which you can find below in the description. I have more than 1,000 matches on Chucky and have done a lot of testing and research on his power. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Before we get into the actual camera and line of sight mechanics that I do want to make the major chunk of this video, I do kind of want to go over Chucky at base. Chucky is a 110 movement speed killer, which makes him slower than most of the cast, and has no ranged attack. This makes him very, very, very difficult to get hits with at specific loops. However, Chucky does have his third-person camera to kind of make up for this. This is part of the reason why he is 110. I've heard many suggestions to make him 115. However, trust me on this one, people. You don't want it. It sounds good on paper, but I can promise it would make him even more frustrating than he already is. With that being said, we'll go ahead and get into the rest of the video.
They can't see me. I can't see them.
Once again, before we talk about the camera, let's talk about using line of sight to your advantage. So as mentioned, Chucky is short, about the height of a totem. There's no specific height here because measuring in Dead by Daylight is very complicated. This allows him to hide behind a lot of objects. This can let you sneak up on survivors before they have a chance to know your location. Now, Behavior has tried to give survivors ways of seeing you in this state. As when you are within 60 meters, they will see your footsteps as if your height would be over the obstacle as a normal killer. I have a whole video explaining the footstep mechanics below, so I won't get too much into them here. If you are undetectable, you let out a laugh that will give survivors your exact location away. Again, I have a whole video going over this concept as well, won't go too deeply into this. Trying to sneak up while detectable is normally your best play, even though it does seem a bit counterintuitive. You will still have a red stain and terror radius, however, with some manipulation and knowledge you can circumvent these. Your terror radius is 32 meters at base, like most of the killers, but it's not directional and can be lowered with the Silk Pillow add-on, Strobe Light add-on, and of course the perk Monitor and Abuse. The slower terror radius can let you get extremely close to survivors before they can react. Your red stain, like other killers, can be moved and will always come from the front of Chucky's model. While using line of sight blockers, be sure to move your model in ways that can hide your red stain. Good line of sight blockers are mid-sized objects that are about the height of totems. As you can still see over them, and at more than 60 meters, the survivors will not have your exact location. Tall structures with corners are also great for this, and random junk on the map such as haystacks on Coldwind or barrels on other maps like my Millen are also great options as well. Alright, so to explain the line of sight a little bit better, I have pulled up a custom game with a friend, and I'm just going to try to sneak up on them. They do know where I am, and they kind of have a plan, but yeah. So we're going to be walking up and trying to hide our red stain by, shoving our face into rocks, shoving it into trees, turning it as we turn corners. The corner check there, check here. While we're doing all of this, we're going to try to get a line of beat on the survivor, which I can see the James right there as I round to the corner. We're going to keep doing that, trying to hide our red stain behind the rocks, so maybe throw it off a bit. We can still see them going to shack. And then we can corner check real quick. I see they went fully around the corner. They might be holding a spot. And then I'm going to go around the corner to corner check right here. This is me holding a chuck spot. Now, a good survivor will sit right there in that corner and wait for you. They currently can't see my red stain or my footsteps unless they're looking directly in this direction, which most survivors won't. So what I can do with this is it allows me to know exactly the direction they go. So I knew they went around the corner and they ran into me and Chucky in one moment. That will happen as you play Chucky. You get used to it. But yeah, basically around shack, you can kind of just manipulate the red stain and check the doorways, check the corners they pop out of. And then normally get a hit directly right after, even if they're holding the spot. So I know he didn't go into shack, so we can go back around. And on this long wall, it's almost a guaranteed down there. So what I wanted to demonstrate with the camera, so the James can hear... can you hear my terror radius right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So the James can hear my terror radius right now, but because of the distance and where my red stain is located, they can't see me. So this doesn't really provide much, but in a certain amount of range, you can use this to your advantage to get a slice and dice hit a lot of the times. Even if they ran right for the pallet, that gives me pallet control immediately since they're forced to drop it, and then I can take loop control and then slice and dice after about the 9-second cooldown. The line of sight mechanic is something that is very, very difficult to learn at times, but once you get the hang of it, you can catch survivors off guard a lot of the times. If we were doing a regular loop, can you run around this rock? If we were doing a regular loop like this rock, for example, I can just kind of hide here, and I have full eyes on exactly where they're going to go. They drop the pallet. Go ahead and drop it. And I can hide my red stain and constantly check both sides, doing the normal mind games that most killers can do, but without having to even move. And like I said before, a lot of times you don't want to be in hidey-ho, because the moment I do that, they can hear where I'm laughing at. Now, the main part of the video, how to use the camera to your advantage. This has been one of the hardest things to try and explain, as for me, it was a natural thing, but watching others play Chucky, I have learned that it is not for others. Before we start, I do want to give some of the camera stats. Now, even I don't fully understand them, but a couple of notes. The FOV slider does not affect Chucky's camera, and while in hidey-ho mode, the cam does zoom in slightly, which can make it more difficult to use. Chucky controls like every other killer, however, he might feel slightly off to newer players, as he is more like a tank going in the direction of the camera, as it is not independent of his movement like it is for survivors. So learning how to use it while moving and hiding with line of sight can take some time to get used to. Something you might have noticed, I have my camera pointed slightly down in the background footage. This is because it gives you a better sight of directly in front of you and above objects in your path. This will end up helping you keep track of survivors' movements better. Something else I often do is what I call corner checking rather than moving towards a corner, and moving my body around it so you can simply hug the wall and move and let the edge of the camera check for you. This can save you time and keep your location hidden on many loops. While in a chase, survivors will often have two directions to run, left or right. Most killers can only watch one. However, Chucky can check both by holding his own check spot, also better known as a Chuck spot, as to not be caught off guard. You are 110 movement speed, so use this as much as you can, as one mistake can cost you. You can also use your camera to see over many objects and loops to help you keep tabs on movement as well. Even on higher objects, this can give you a small amount of info to play off of. This can be used in places that you would not expect, and even in reverse, as loops like the snowplows on Ormond can be seen through. Do not forget to be using the sides of the camera to allow you to hide your red stain and your location from the survivors you were chasing, and allow you to get the jump on them. Explaining how to use the camera properly is a very difficult thing to do. However, I do want to show off in this clip here exactly how the camera can be used to your advantage. I walk up on this Fong and I see that she is there. I see her go around the corner in my camera. I don't see any red stains when I walk up. I don't see her around the corner. And there's only one other location she can be in, that is a locker. This saved me time and stopped her from being able to hide. The camera is a massive asset and one you need to learn how to use properly to get the most out of Chucky, in my opinion. Check has its own section for a few reasons. It's really great to show off corner checking and really showing off the power of knowing what the survivor is doing while they can't see you, but you can see them. The corner check can be done on any corner of shack, but normally you want to do it at the doorways, pallet side preferred, from the side standing on the left of the pallet. While aiming your red stain to the left gives you eyes on the inside of shack, the window, and the other doorway, which means you can determine the direction the survivor runs and plan accordingly. If left, you can moonwalk and surprise the survivor with a corner check into a hit. If they go right, you can quickly move across the doorway and do the same. If they go back into shack, well, you can just wait there and are in a good spot to get a hit. The other door, while not ideal as it gives up pallet control, works in a very similar way. Something should be noted: to do this at all against most survivors, do not forget to not be in power, as the laugh will give away your position, as the laugh is directional.
It was all a ruse, you pathetic little ant.
The last thing I wanted to talk about was Chuckspots, as they're actually called. A Chuckspot is when you are in a position to corner check and wait for the survivor to run into you, leading to hits that can often be followed up and give the survivors no time to react. Shack, as mentioned, is a common location for this, but can be done anywhere you can hide your model and red stain. It should be noted that survivors that know this trick will stand still, wasting your time, But this will prime them up for a follow-up hit, as they are not expecting you to come around the corner and hit them with the slice and dice, which will be explained more in the slice and dice video coming in the future. They can also leave the loop in a perpendicular way to avoid being seen, wasting more time. This is a tool like any other. Do not overuse it, and be sure to be wise about it. That being said, here's some quick clips of me getting Chuckspots on like 10 different people.
Who the hell do you think you're hiding from?
Get Chuck spotted.
Mine, asshole!
No way that fucking works. Go back up. Surprise! Surprise! Ain't no way you fell for that twice. I've gotten the timing of that down so well. So we're at the end of the video. I do hope that you guys learned at least a little bit of something about using the camera a little better. I know I'm not the best at explaining things, and I'm not too great at scripted content. This is probably the first scripted video I've made in a while. Even the other guides were kind of just off the cuff. Just let me know. I'm open to any criticism as long as it's constructive. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and more Chucky content, of course, is to come. Probably more gameplay stuff as things wind down. The main guide will be coming soon, or soonish, and this will definitely probably be part of it. I prefer to do this in chunks. In any case, if you guys liked it, you know, the like button is right there. If you have any questions or anything like that, I'd be willing to answer them in the comments and things like that. Any constructive criticism, I'll take it, etc., etc. Hit the subscribe button. My voice is going out now. Any case, I love y'all. Have a good one, and bye.
Subscribe, damn it! I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you, you moron.